Heavenly Message Revealed, 3 Divine Invitations for Your Miraculous Transformation Today. In the heart of a quaint English village, with the cobblestone streets wind through lush greenery, a devout single mother named Sarah clung to hope like a lifeline. Each Sunday, the village church became a sacred refuge, a place where the air buzzed with whispers of faith and the sweet scent of lingering incense filled the sanctuary. As Sarah knelt, she felt an overwhelming presence, arms of love encircling her and her ailing young son, Ethan. Each fervent prayer, each tear-streaked cheek registered deeply within her soul, igniting the flickering flame of belief. Today, though, felt different. A shiver danced down her spine when Pastor Thomas, known for his wisdom, approached her. "Sarah," he said with a voice that resonated like thunder, "I believe God has a message for you. Your perseverance will bring not just healing for Ethan, but transformation for you as well." The congregation hushed, eyes wide with focused belief. Sarah's heart raced, the profound weight of his words sending waves of divine energy coursing through her. Yet, as the days slipped by, whispers of doubt coiled around her heart like a serpent. Neighbors cast knowing glances, while scientific data filled her mind with relentless questions. Desperation clawed at her spirit to find any tangible solution for Ethan's chronic illness. One evening, wading through a pool of treatments that seemed to only grimace at her son's suffering, she cried, her voice barely a whisper, "What do I do, Lord?" Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The village buzzed with excitement as the annual pilgrimage to the nearby sanctuary, renowned for its miraculous healings, approached. Sarah felt an undeniable urge to trust in God's promises, a divine invitation whispering to her soul. On the day of the pilgrimage, she found herself surrounded by her church family, hands clasped in solidarity, hearts yearning together. Within the cool stone walls of the sanctuary, prayers rose like fragrant smoke, igniting the atmosphere with divine possibilities. In that moment, a warmth enveloped Sarah, softening her worries, melting away doubt. Together, the congregation inhaled the powerful presence of God. Suddenly, it happened. Ethan's weary body, once burdened by illness, began to tremble with life. Gasps echoed from the gathered faithful. A miracle unfolded before her eyes as her son rose, healed and vibrant, bathed in the holy light flooding the stone chamber. Joy erupted, tears of gratitude spilling forth, radiating through the crowd. But as her laughter mingled with the sweet echoes of praise, a question settled deep into Sarah's heart, a new invitation shrouded in mystery. What does it mean to trust God after a miracle? The whisper of heaven beckoned her toward new revelations yet to unfold, leaving her soul teetering between wonder and profound questioning. What divine path awaited next? The village's miracle was just the beginning. The days following the miraculous event felt like a cascade of blessings washing over Sarah and Ethan. Each morning, the sun's rays crept through their small, quaint window, glistening on Ethan's vibrant cheeks, which had lost their pallor. Laughter bubbled up in their home, melodies replaced the silence of worry, and for the first time in ages, hope danced freely between them. As they walked through the village hand in hand, villagers greeted them with warm smiles and words of encouragement. "What a miracle!" they exclaimed, their eyes full of joyful disbelief. Yet, within Sarah, a stirring of uncertainty grew like an unexpected storm. The pastor's words lingered, hovering above her like a sacred question mark. What transformation awaited her in the wake of healing? One afternoon, as the golden hour dipped low and painted the sky with hues of orange and purple, Sarah sat on the worn garden bench watching Ethan chase butterflies. His laughter rang through the air, pure and unguarded. But then a shadow whispered at the edge of Sarah's heart. What if this was just a brief interlude of joy, a fleeting moment before life returned to its daunting normalcy? Would her faith stand the test of time, or would it falter under the weight of expectation? "Mommy!" Ethan's voice broke through her thoughts as he bounded toward her, an iridescent butterfly resting on his finger. He beamed, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Look what I found! Isn't it beautiful?" "Yes, sweetheart, just like you," she replied, her heart warming against the chill of doubt. She took a deep breath, trying to anchor herself amidst the turmoil in her spirit. That evening, as the sun set, Sarah knelt beside her bed, her palms pressed together. A familiar warmth wrapped around her, and she began to speak, each word flowing like a sweet song. "Lord, I thank you for this miracle, but I'm scared. What do I need to do now?" As silence enveloped the room, a gentle nudge stirred inside her. "Trust," the voice whispered, tender yet firm. "Embrace the journey ahead." The following Sunday, back at the village church, Sarah approached Pastor Thomas after the service. The congregation was filled with the chatter of uplifting conversations, but within her, she felt a tugging to share her heart's burden. "Pastor, I feel grateful for Ethan's healing, but I worry about what comes next. How do I keep my faith alive when life tests it?" Pastor Thomas looked into her eyes, and she could see the wisdom gleaned from years of guiding souls. "Sarah, faith is not just about what we receive. It's also about what we give. Your journey does not end here. God calls us to share His love and miracles with others. Through your story, countless lives can be changed." As the sun set that evening, Sarah understood. She wasn't just a recipient of divine grace. She was now an ambassador of hope. With renewed purpose pulsing through her veins, she felt the divine invitation clear. Yet even amidst her newfound resolve, an echo lingered within her heart, asking another question. How would she step into this role of faith and transformation in a world still filled with doubts? Ethan's laughter filled the air around her, reminding her that miracles continue to unfold every day. All she needed was to keep moving forward, one step at a time, trusting in the divine plan. What adventure lay ahead for Sarah, and how would she embrace the mission bestowed upon her? The path was still unwritten, and she knew she had yet to discover the true depths of her faith. The morning light streamed through their window, heralding a new day full of promise. Sarah awoke with a sense of purpose lifting her from her dreams. She glanced at Ethan, who was still deep in slumber, his brow slightly furrowed, like a little sage pondering the world. As she quietly dressed, a spark ignited in her heart. Today would be different. Today she would begin to share her story. After breakfast, with Ethan's hand clasped tightly in hers, Sarah made her way to the village square. The air buzzed with a hum of activities. Here and there she caught snippets of conversation filled with hope and wonder about miracles. Her heart raced, charged with a mixture of excitement and a touch of trepidation. "Mommy, can we play at the fountain?" Ethan asked, tugging on her sleeve, his eyes gleaming with mischief. "Just a moment, love," she replied, her gaze scanning the square. She spotted a small gathering near the church. Villagers were sharing their own stories of faith transformed. The sight filled her with urgency. It was time to step into the light. As they approached, she felt her heart hammering in her chest. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, her voice shaky but determined. "Excuse me, everyone." The crowd muted, turning to her with curious expressions. "I wanted to share something about faith and miracles." People leaned in, eyes sparkling, urging her to continue. "Nearly a month ago, my son was very ill. We prayed, and many of you joined us. And now, her voice caught as she looked down at Ethan, who was now chasing shadows cast by the fluttering leaves. He is healed, but I want you to know something profound. This miracle isn't just a gift for us. It's a call, an invitation for all of us. Whispers rippled through the crowd. What does she mean? Someone murmured. Sarah continued, just as the Lord has graced us, He asks us to share that grace. We can be vessels of hope for one another. Each of you holds a story that can uplift and inspire, just like we have been uplifted. A few villagers stepped forward, their eyes glazed with emotion. But how do we let our light shine in such darkness? Asked a woman with worry etched on her face. By embracing every moment, by reaching out and letting love guide our actions, Sarah replied, feeling a warmth wash over her. By being those who stand in faith even when doubts arise, together we can create a ripple effect of transformation. Ethan returned to her side, breathing heavy from his frolic. He looked up at Sarah, his innocent face beaming. Can I tell them about the butterfly? Laughter broke through the tension. Of course, my love, Sarah encouraged, stepping back as Ethan animatedly began to recount his vibrant encounter from earlier. As laughter and joy mingled with heartfelt stories, Sarah noticed something powerful stirring among the villagers. Hugs were shared, hands clasped in prayer, and promises of support were exchanged. In that moment, she realized the seed of faith she planted by sharing her story was taking root. The air shimmered with possibility, a holy connection binding them all. Yet, even amidst this joy, Sarah felt a quiet whisper beckoning her heart again. What would come next? How would the journey of sharing faith challenge her own convictions? Ethan tugged at her hand, joyfully oblivious to the depths of what was transpiring around them. But she felt the powerful undercurrents of change start to flow among the villagers. What lessons awaited them all as they embraced their roles within this divine story? Sarah's heart swelled with questions, eager to unfold the adventure that lay just ahead. As the sun bathed the village square in golden light, Sarah felt an electric energy surrounding her. The joyful sounds of laughter and prayer hung in the air like a sweet melody, and she couldn't help but smile. Ethan continued to share his butterfly tale, animatedly flapping his arms, deeply engrossed in his own world, while Sarah took a moment to soak in the beauty of the community awakening to their shared faith. Look at them, she thought, warmth flooding her heart. Each smile, each tear was a testament to the lives being touched. Yet, amid the joy, her spirit felt a familiar restlessness. It was as if the Lord was whispering encouragement into her ear, urging her to go deeper, to dig further into her own story and the stories of others. As the crowd began to disperse, Sarah noticed an elderly man lingering at the edge of the group, leaning on a cane, his eyes filled with both admiration and doubt. His name was Mr. Waverly, a well-respected figure in the village, and someone she hadn't seen in church lately. Pushing gently through the last remnants of laughter, she approached him. "Hello, Mr. Waverly," she greeted softly. He looked up, his lined face breaking into a hesitant smile. "Ah, Sarah," he replied, his voice gravelly. "Your words were stirring, but you must understand, faith is easier for the young. What of those like me, who have seen too much of life's trials?" Her heart ached at his vulnerability. But isn't that precisely why we share our stories? To uplift one another? You have seen God's faithfulness bigger than many, haven't you? His thoughtful gaze fell to the ground. I have, indeed. Yet the weight of loss often shadows the light of hope. It's hard to let go and believe in miracles after being touched by so much pain. Sarah felt a tug in her spirit. She wanted to encourage Mr. Waverly to see the light again. I understand. We all carry our burdens. But perhaps, what if we see those trials not just as weights, but as stepping stones to strengthen our faith? each of us can be a beacon to someone else walking through darkness. The old man raised his eyes to meet hers, and she found an unexpected spark there. Perhaps you're right. I suppose sharing stories can heal wounds, not just mine, but others too. Ethan, noticing the serious conversation, chimed in. Like my butterfly, it was sad, but then it became beautiful and helped me play again. Mr. Waverly chuckled, a deep laugh that resonated through the square. A wise young lad you have. Yes, just like the butterfly. You can play a part in this, Mr. Waverly, Sarah encouraged, her voice steady. You have so much to share. By speaking of your battles, you could inspire others to rise up and find their strength. As she spoke, another figure approached, the village baker, a gentle soul named Anne. She too had been listening intently. Sarah, I felt that push in my heart too. Maybe we can gather to share our stories, create a space of sharing and healing. Yes, Sarah exclaimed, excitement bubbling within her. A gathering where everyone can find their voices. Mr. Waverly looked thoughtful, his past scars flickering in his eyes. I will think about it. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to rise from the shadows. The words hung in the air like a prayer, waiting for an answer. And Sarah felt the vibrancy of the moment. So many souls had been longing for a space to breathe life into their stories. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the square, Sarah knew this was only the beginning. The air crackled with anticipation, each person a thread in a tapestry waiting to be woven together. What new stories would emerge from this gathering? Would the community truly unite to share in faith and healing? And as Sarah walked home that evening, questions danced in her heart, whispering of the miracles yet to unfold. The following days brought a palpable shift in the village. Whispers of the gathering were carried on the wind, each conversation entangled with hope. The townsfolk seemed to reclaim their stories, brushing off the dust of silence that had veiled their pasts. Sarah's heart swelled as she saw light returning to faces once shadowed by sorrow. The morning of the gathering arrived bright and clear. Sarah stood in the square, her hands nervously clasped. In front of her, colorful banners flew above, each representing a different story, a testament to the lives intertwined in faith. The air was thick with anticipation, and she sensed that something profound was about to unfold. Ethan, full of youthful enthusiasm, darted about, urging villagers to come together. "Today we share," he shouted, innocent and exuberant. Sarah smiled at his energy. It felt infectious, a reminder of the boundless joy that faith could bring. As people began to gather, Sarah noticed Mr. Waverly and Anne arriving. Mr. Waverly used his cane for support, stepping forward with an air of determination. Anne walked beside him, her eyes sparkling with purpose. When their eyes met, she felt a wave of reassurance flow through her. They were all on this journey together. The square filled with familiar faces, each carrying their own burdens, yet brimming with hope. Sarah stepped forward to greet them. "Thank you all for coming. Today, we create a space where our stories can be shared, where healing and encouragement will flow like a river." The crowd murmured in agreement, a gentle wave of affirmation rippling through them. Sarah caught the eye of a timid woman in the back, her hands fidgeting nervously. "Let us not fear our stories," she encouraged gently. "Every tale, every struggle is a thread in the beautiful tapestry God is weaving among us." As each person began to share, their stories unfolded like petals slowly blooming. A mother spoke of the sorrow she carried after losing a child, and how her faith had become both her anchor and her lifeline. A young man recounted his journey from despair to hope, his voice tremulous yet filled with passion. The stories flowed and blended, creating a harmonious chorus that reverberated through the square. Mr. Waverly stood, his heart quickening with the rhythm of the moment. Clearing his throat, he shared the tale of his late wife. Losing her felt like losing a part of my soul. But I found comfort in remembering her laughter and the faith we shared, he confessed, his voice heavy yet resolute. Today, I realize that our love story still continues through the love we share here. Tears glistened in the corners of many eyes as the weight of his words sank in. Even behind the thick veil of his pain, the promise of resurrection began to surface. People began to nod and murmur their empathy, witnessing the strength that came not just from triumph, but from shared heartache. The gathering grew more vibrant, enveloped in a sacred atmosphere where vulnerability was celebrated and hearts were laid bare. Laughter mingled with tears, creating a sacred rhythm of life itself, revealing that even amid sorrow, nuggets of joy could be discovered. As the sun began to set, casting hues of orange and purple over the square, Sarah felt a sense of divine intervention. God was at work, transforming their stories into something beautiful. With every shared narrative, every testimony, the bonds of the community deepened, uniting them in love and faith. Let's continue this journey together, Sarah called out. May our stories inspire others who walk in darkness, carrying the light of hope we discover in each other. The crowd erupted in applause, voices ringing with affirmation. But just as the laughter died down, a hush fell over them. In that holy silence, a weighty yet tender presence filled the air, a feeling that something extraordinary was still waiting to be revealed. What would this next chapter hold for the villagers? Each heart remained open, awaiting further divine whispers. Who among them would now be nudged to take a brave step forward into the unknown, ready to embrace yet another miraculous transformation? As the light of the day softened, a gentle breeze whispered through the square, carrying with it an unmistakable sense of expectation. The villagers, still basking in the warmth of shared stories, felt a collective heartbeat echoing among them. Sarah sensed something stirring deeper within the soul of the gathering, something that beckoned them all closer together. Suddenly, as if the heavens had opened just a crack, a hush fell heavier across the crowd. The wind softened, and the last rays of sunlight caught what seemed to be a spark dancing in the air. Sarah looked around, eyes widened in wonder as whispers filled the space. The air thickened, heavy with purpose. From the corner of her eye, she noticed a small figure step forward. It was Ethan, his face alight with awe. "It feels different now," he spoke slowly, as if tasting the words. "Like we're being called." Curiosity surged through the crowd. Mr. Waverly leaned on his cane, his eyes filled with unspoken wisdom. "There comes a time," he said, his voice steady, "when a community must rise, not just to share pain, but to heed a divine call." As his words settled in the air, Sarah felt something similar bubbling within her. It echoed like a deep resonance, urging her to listen more closely. "What do we do now?" she murmured, feeling the weight of everyone's eyes upon her, as if they were seeking guidance in the growing silence. Before she could dwell on her uncertainty, a deep melodic voice filled the square. It was Old Man Jenkins, known for his occasional but poignant reflections. "Beloved friends, there are moments when heaven feels near, moments of divine invitation. Perhaps today is one such moment." At his words, a wave of shivers ran through her. The atmosphere transformed, inviting hushed murmurs of agreement among the villagers. Each gaze shifted upward, searching the quiet heavens for a sign, a spark, something. There was a sense of anticipation, a feeling that a door to the divine had creaked open, unveiling possibilities just beyond sight. 3 invitations, Old Man Jenkins continued, pacing slowly as he spoke. 3 calls that could lead us down new paths. First, the invitation to release our burdens, to let go of what holds us captive, and trust that our stories do not end in shadows. Sarah's heart raced as she reflected on the shared stories just moments before. So many had carried heavy burdens, yet here they were, casting off the weight together. The second invitation, Jenkins said, is an invitation to unity. We are woven together, each thread interlaced with another, our faith reaching out to hold the frayed edges of one another's lives. When we come together in love, we rise stronger. A sense of belonging sparked within Sarah, illuminating her spirit like a flickering flame. And finally, he declared, raising his voice, the third invitation is to walk boldly into the future, to walk where faith leads, to embrace the unknown as sacred ground. For in uncertainty, we find the footprints of God. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd as the weight of his words settled in. Each person grasped the significance of this moment, a challenge, a call to action, a doorway to transformation. Amidst this palpable surge of faith, Sarah felt the urge to step forward. Let us not hesitate, she proclaimed with newfound determination. Let's answer these invitations together. What stories lie ahead that we cannot yet see? Who are we to become when we embrace our journey? As the villagers stirred, excitement igniting in their hearts, a soft glow began to encompass them, an unexplainable warmth that enveloped every soul present, igniting a sense of eternal possibility. But just as visions of their shared future began to take shape, a cloud rolled in. It cast a shadow over the gathering, a sudden chill that contrasted with their hope. Sarah paused, wondering what it could mean, holding her breath as the moment hung in the balance. In the midst of uncertainty, where would their hearts now lead? Would they summon the courage to step into the unknown once more? Or would doubt creep back in? The answers felt just out of reach, tantalizing and elusive. The villagers stood in eager anticipation, hearts beating in rhythm, waiting for the next divine whisper to guide their trembling steps forward. Where would these invitations take them? The sacred journey was just beginning. As the chill settled over the square, a thick silence lingered, wrapping around each villager like a heavy cloak. The warmth of their earlier anticipation felt distant, replaced with an almost tangible tension in the air. Sarah held her breath, her heart racing like a drum, echoing the unsettled thoughts swirling in her mind. Then, amidst the stillness, came a sound, a low rumble like distant thunder. The crowd turned their eyes upward, searching the sky for answers, a sense of wonder mixed with fear. Old Man Jenkins stepped closer to the edge of the gathering, his hands raised as if inviting something above to make contact. "Dear ones," he began, his voice steady despite the growing unease. "Just as clouds can bring rain to parched earth, so too can shadows bring forth light. We may feel apprehension, but within uncertainty lies the seeds of transformation." At his words, an inward wave surged through the villagers. They began to shift, leaning in closer, as if collectively drawing strength from one another. Sarah felt a spark igniting within her, a flicker of hope that whispered, "What if this is just the beginning?" Let these moments, Jenkins continued, serve as a reminder that discomfort is often a refining fire. It nudges us to awaken, not just to the challenges, but to the grace that flows through them. Suddenly, the dark cloud that had loomed began to shift and swirl, parted by gleams of sunlight breaking through. A warm golden hue illuminated the square, washed over their faces, and the chill began to fade. Sarah's heart swelled. Was this the divine invitation they sought? Unity, Jenkins's voice broke through the collective gasp. Isn't that the theme etched in our hearts? He gestured to the crowd, each face lit with awe. In this community, when one of us rises, we all rise. Let it not just be words spoken, let us turn them into actions. As if awoken from a dream, Sarah stepped forward again, her pulse racing with the urgency of the moment. We need to gather our stories. Let us share what burdens we carry. The villagers exchanged glances, and a sense of mutual understanding blossomed. Together, she continued, we can craft a tapestry of faith, a living testament of our growth, something that binds us through trials and triumphs. Ethan, filled with newfound courage, echoed her enthusiasm. Yes, let's share our journeys. Each of us holds a piece of the truth. We can be the messengers of light that pierce through the shadows. At that moment, laughter, bright and ringing, bubbled forth from the crowd, pushing away their fears. The villagers began to gather closer, ready to unveil their burdens with compassion. Each story spoken became a thread of connection, weaving them into a beautiful collective narrative bursting with resilience. Yet even as they shared, Sarah felt a whisper stir within her, a call to deeper exploration. What else awaited beyond their words? What was the greater calling of this moment? The air swirled again, filled with excitement and mystery, urging each villager to lean into the unknown. As the sun gradually sank lower, painting the sky with hues of azure and orange, Sarah's heart turned towards the gathering. Oh, what miraculous transformation awaits us, friends! What divine purpose are we destined to uncover? They stood together under the changing sky, hearts open and energized, ready to embrace whatever came next. But beneath the excitement lurked an undeniable truth. What challenges might rise as they continued on this journey together? Would their faith hold firm against the tests yet unseen? The evening air buzzed with anticipation, and together they prepared to make a choice to step boldly forward into whatever awaited. What lay ahead for their woven souls? What divine revelations awaited to unfold? The night had just begun. As the villagers gathered, their stories intermingled with laughter and tears. A chord of collective strength vibrated through the air. Each voice shared whispers of courage, hardships that had been softened by hope, and dreams that sparkled like distant stars on the horizon. Sarah found herself overwhelmed by the beauty surrounding her, a mosaic of faith crafted by a community united. A mother stepped forward, her eyes shining with unshed tears. I lost my husband last winter. I thought I'd never find joy again. But as I sat in my grief, I felt God remind me of my children. They became my reason to rise each day. There was a palpable silence as her words sank in. The villagers exchanged glances, their hearts swelling with empathy, echoing her strength. Next, a young man named Leo took his turn. I struggled with anger. It consumed me. I thought I was alone in my battle until I opened up and discovered others were fighting too. You taught me that admitting our weakness is not a failure. It's a step toward healing. Heads nodded and murmurs of agreement rippled through the group. Sarah felt a fire igniting within her spirit, an urge to add yet another story to this unfolding narrative. And look at us now, she said, her voice rising above the warm hum. Every struggle has brought us here, together. We are not defined by our burdens, but by how we rise from them. The sunlight began to unfurl moments before it welcomed twilight. Glances turned upward. The sky, painted with a rich tapestry of colors, seemed to whisper secrets of hope. There was beauty in the impermanence of the moment, as if heaven itself breathed in harmony with their gathering. But as laughter danced in the air, a sudden stillness envelops them once again. The low rumble returned, now resonating like a heartbeat, a presence that seemed to echo from beyond. Old Man Jenkins raised his hands, eyes closed, seeming to listen to the unspoken message. "Dear friends," he whispered, urgency threading through his voice, "something greater stirs in our midst. We have dared to share, to unveil our hearts, and heaven is responding." Hushed anticipation settled like soft snow around them, thick and enveloping. In that sacred silence, Sarah felt a voice deep within her, a gentle nudge. "Look beyond," it urged. "What lies ahead is the call to something extraordinary." Her heart raced again. What revelation awaited them? What divine purpose was about to emerge? Suddenly, the golden light dimmed, and a gentle breeze shivered over their shoulders. The villagers looked at one another, eyes wide in anticipation. The air grew heavy with possibility, charged with something electric. Was it the promise of transformation? "Unity," Jenkins spoke again, voice wise and filled with reverence. "We have shared our burdens, our truths, but now let's anchor ourselves in prayer." With that invocation, the circle drew closer still, hands clasped tightly. Sarah felt warmth radiate from their linked fingers, an unshakable bond forming. As their voices lifted in prayer, each word bathed in sincerity, the wind swirled, carrying their hopes skyward. And for a fleeting moment, Sarah glimpsed the edges of a vision, figures appearing in that golden light, dancing just beyond their reach. Would those figures be the answers they sought? As their prayers rose up, uncertainty still lingered. Like a shadow, a question gnawed at the corners of her mind amid the swelling anticipation. What trials awaited, testing the very foundation of their shared faith? Would they have the courage to face what lay beyond this moment of unity? Little did they know that their collective voice was but the beginning of a deeper revelation. What would they discover if they ventured further into this divine calling? What miracles awaited them just around the bend? The evening had only just begun to unveil its secrets. As the last echoes of their prayer settled in the air, something shifted. A stillness enveloped the circle, thicker than before, filled with an almost tangible presence. Old Man Jenkins, eyes gleaming with a knowing light, broke the silence. Listen closely, for the evening speaks with a voice of its own. Intrigued, the villagers leaned in. Sarah felt an electric current running through her veins, a deep anticipation sparking her curiosity. With each heartbeat, it echoed the age-old rhythm of hope. "The light dims not out of despair," Jenkins continued, eyes now sparkling like the stars above, "but to prepare us for a revelation. Like the seasons, even our trials hold the seeds of something more profound." He paused, allowing his words to settle into the hearts that surrounded him. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She felt a comfort emerging, a promise that their struggles were not in vain. Just then, the first of the figures from her vision flickered into view, glowing softly in the twilight. A beautiful woman, radiant and serene, seemed to glide towards them, her presence dissolving doubts that had tightened like a noose around their spirits. "I bring a message," she said gently, her voice like the rustle of leaves, soothing and clear. "Each one of you is seen, cherished, and called forth." Gasps escaped the villagers' lips as they beheld her majesty. "What message do you carry?" someone asked, the inquiry lying heavy in the air. "Accept the invitations bestowed upon you," the woman replied, a mystical smile breaking across her face. There are three: trust, embrace, and transform. As she spoke each word, bursts of light erupted around her, illuminating the faces of the villagers. Sarah felt warmth seep into her very core, flooding her with joy and a yearning to understand more. Trust, the woman repeated, her voice gaining strength. Trust that your past does not define you, but it has shaped you. Each scar, each tear serves as a chapter in your journey. You are not alone. The villagers exchanged glances, encouragement lighting their eyes. Sarah's heart swelled. They'd felt the weight of their burdens for so long. This was a divine affirmation that they were indeed being invited into a new story. Embrace, she continued, eyes gently sweeping over the gathering. Embrace each other and yourselves. In vulnerability, you find strength. Let your hearts lead you into the warmth of community. With those words, hands gripped more tightly, and Sarah felt the love binding them deeper. Transform, the angel added, her smiles radiant. The struggles you bear are shaping the miracles within you. Allow them to mold your spirit into something magnificent, like clay beneath the potter's hands. Raw emotion coursed through Sarah and the others, lighting small fires of healing in their spirits. She could see the flickers reflected in her friend's eyes, the unshakable faith igniting with every affirmation of purpose. But as quickly as the light appeared, the woman began to fade. Remember, she whispered, this is only the beginning. Do not hesitate to answer these invitations, for they lead not to mere change, but to transformation. A hush fell over the crowd, awe and expectancy palpable as shadows grew longer. Sarah's mind raced. What would unfold if they accepted these sacred calls? What kind of miracles awaited in the dusk and dawn of their lives? In that moment of profound wonder, a new question dawned, a whisper urging them to seek what it truly meant to trust, embrace, and transform together. As the light of the stars twinkled above, the villagers remained in a holding pattern, suspended between possibility and the mysterious journey ahead. What would their stories weave when they undertook these divine invitations? What transformations lie in the power of their collective faith? As dawn broke over the village, casting golden rays that danced across sleeping roofs and blooming gardens, Sarah felt the weight of a promise lingering in the air. The night's heavenly visitation had ignited a fire within her, a call to live out the divine invitations that echoed in her heart. Trust, embrace, and transform. Ethan, already wide awake, dashed around their little home, his laughter spilling like sunlight into every corner. "Mommy, today we are going to tell everybody our special story, right?" His innocent excitement painted her smile with fresh joy. "Yes, sweetheart," she replied, her voice thick with emotion. "Today we'll share all the beauty God has revealed to us, together." The village square buzzed with activity as villagers gathered, their eyes sparkling with anticipation. Hands gripped tightly and hearts collectively beat in time, resonating with the urgency that rippled through the community. Old Man Jenkins stood the center, that familiar spark of wisdom twinkling in his eyes. "Beloved friends," he called, amplifying the hum of excitement. "We gather here today under the invitation of divine transformation. We stand witness not just to miracles, but to the work God does through us when we trust one another and ourselves." As he spoke, Sarah's heart swelled with purpose. She stepped forward, feeling an inner wave of support from the crowd. "Each of us holds a story woven with threads of heartache, healing, and hope," she proclaimed. "Let us embrace one another, not just in our joys, but in our struggles. Through sharing, we strengthen our bonds." Encouragement surged through the gathered villagers, hands raised, voices lifted, as neighbors began to share their stories anew. One by one, voices emerged with vulnerability. Mothers, fathers, the young and the old, finding resonance through paths of sorrow transformed into avenues of joy. A young woman spoke of battling addiction, how the warmth of this community became her lifeline. A man shared his journey from despair to renewal, describing how faith had rebuilt his spirit brick by brick. Tears mingled with laughter as Sarah witnessed faith in action, each narrative a testament that echoed through every soul present. Love and acceptance enveloped them like sweet incense, a fragrance of newfound purpose filling the air. But amid the celebrations, a sudden hush fell over the crowd as the familiar swirling presence returned. Old Man Jenkins raised his arms. "Let us pray." At once their voices melded into a tender collective plea, faint yet vibrant. The atmosphere thickened, rich with expectancy, a ripple of divine energy that resonated like a heartbeat. In that sacred moment, Sarah felt the whisper return, fluttering in her spirit. "Step further," it urged. "Your journey is just beginning." Another light flashed, and another figure emerged, a radiant child, ethereal yet grounded. "Love binds you. Love is your strength," the child proclaimed with a voice like chimes. "Your stories will inspire the generations yet to come. Hold tightly to each other, for the light of God's grace flows where unity prevails." A collective gasp swept through the village. What they had considered as their fragile, isolated struggles began to transform into a collective testimony of strength. They were not individual stories anymore. They were chapters woven into one incredible narrative of faith and community, a tapestry pulsating with divine light. As the villagers stepped closer together, arms interlinked, Sarah felt the unfurling of faith transform every heart and soul. "We will not let fear define us anymore," she declared, her voice a clarion call. "We will step boldly into the challenges ahead. Who will rise with faith to become vessels of hope? Together we will shine brightly even in the darkness." "Together," Ethan cheered, raising a small fist in the air, and the crowd erupted into chants of unity, their voices blending into a beautiful symphony of resilience. Sarah glanced around, her heart warmed by the radiant connections being forged, realizing the divine purpose now coursed through their actions. With that, Sarah and the villagers raised their voices not only in worship, but as a declaration of their commitment, the commitment to trust in the unfolding plan, to embrace the messy beauty of life, and to transform their experiences into stories of hope that would ripple through the world. They would answer the divine invitations, not only for themselves, but for those still wandering in doubt, waiting for the light of faith to shine in their lives. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they knew this was just the beginning. Together, they would illuminate the path ahead, boldly walking hand in hand into the vibrant future God had in store for them. And they resolved, with joyous hearts and unwavering faith, never to look back. This was their sacred mission, a transformation of spirit and community that would resonate for years to come. Now, dear friends, if you feel inspired, if your heart beats with the same rhythm of faith, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive stories of faith and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this divine journey. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about how faith has impacted your life. Your words matter. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of hope. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Let's spread the light together.